So this is a video on the health message in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I'm bringing to light things that used to have been kept and that people have forgotten about, and we started walking a different way as science seems to grow and grow in one direction, and we seem to leave behind a lot of things, and we've forgotten many of the things that we used to know and believe. So today I'm doing my talk on vitamins. And a lot of people tote vitamins as this healthful thing to do and things that are really good for you. And I'm going to say, no, they're not. So if we look back at the pioneer days, we're going to see something really interesting. And I'm just going to take some Ellen White quotes. This one, I think I have 4 or 5 quotes that I'm going to read that we're going to give us a good context for vitamins and what they actually are. So we have to remember that the drugs in Ellen White's time, we have to think about what were those drugs in Ellen White's time? And if we really think hard about it, these quotes will start making a whole lot of sense. Ellen White says, "The intricate names given the medicines are used to cover up the matter so that none will know what is given them as remedies unless they obtain a dictionary to find out the meaning of those names." Well, that was really fascinating. Tell me, what is vitamin D? What is vitamin C? What is vitamin B or vitamin K or any of these things that people say, oh, all natural? Are these things natural? Do you need a dictionary to look up what they are? You know, I've done medical missionary work, and there's this one gentleman, I remember I was working with him, and I was looking at, how much vitamin C I was giving him in one sitting, and I realized that the vitamin C in that one sitting was the equivalent of 7,000 oranges at one time. And I was like, wow, and I give this to him a couple times a day. I'm like, that's so unnatural, right? Is that natural or is that unnatural? I'm like, that wasn't natural. It'd be really good for people to investigate how some of these vitamins are made, what they're made from, processes they use to make them, and what they actually are. Anything isolated, right? When God gave us food, He gave it in its natural state. So if I were to eat this blade of grass, which I can't do, it's not going to digest because I don't have the things in my body to digest it. But there's other animals that can put this into their body and they digest it, which is fine. Now, if I take an apple, the things that are in the apple all work together to help me digest it. Just like everything in this grass goes into the animals and brings it to a point where they can digest it. But if an animal were to eat a piece of bark instead of grass, even though their belly makes this ferment, and that's how animals eat by fermentation, the bark is not going to be healthful for them and it's not going to do them any good. Just like this grass doesn't do any good for me. But eating the food that God gave man to eat, it will do wonders for me. So let's go into a different quote now. "The Lord has given some simple herbs of the field that at times are beneficial, and if every family were educated in how to use these herbs in case of sickness, much suffering might be prevented, and no doctor need to be called. These old-fashioned simple herbs, used intelligently, would recover many sick who have died under drug medication." So here we see that Ellen White talks about herbs. She doesn't talk about pills that we don't know what they are, have no reason. Like, tell me, if you're eating a vitamin C and it's white, where are they getting that from? Are they getting it from what? Like, obviously it's isolated. It's not natural by any means. So Ellen White will always talk about natural remedies. These vitamins are not natural. Now listen to this. "The endless variety of medicines in the market, the numerous advertisements of new drugs and mixtures, all of which, as they say, do wonderful cures, kill hundreds where they benefit one. Those who are sick are not patient. They will take various medicines, some of which are very powerful, although they know nothing of the nature of the mixture. All these medicines they take only make their recovery more hopeless, yet they keep dosing and continue to grow weaker until they die. Some will have medicine at all events. Then let them take these hurtful mixtures and the various deadly poisons on their own responsibility. God's servants should not administer medicines which they know will leave behind an injurious effect upon the system, even if they do relieve present suffering." So why did I read that? Because a lot of people take all these supplements and stuff like that, and they tote only the health benefits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, I believe there's a placebo effect. I believe that it does do things to your bodies too, and can change the form and location of diseases and different things like that. But for me, I stopped taking it years ago before I seen any of these quotes from Ellen White, because every time I took vitamin C, I got sicker. I'm like, what in the world? I can't take vitamin C. It makes me sick. I can get sick and be well in a day, or I can take vitamin C and be sick for 3 days guaranteed, even if I only take one, or I can be sick as long as I take it. If I continue taking vitamin C, I just stay sick the whole time. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me what kind of vitamin C I took. I do know that when I took it from somebody who recommended as natural health promoting, uh, let's just say it was somebody who knew a good vitamin C from a bad vitamin C, and I took the good one, and it made me sick. It was not natural. My body didn't like it. I'm just going to read one more quote from Ellen White now, and it says, "This is God's method. The herbs that grow for the benefit of man, and the little handful of herbs kept and steeped and used for sudden ailments, have served tenfold, yes, 100-fold better purposes than all the drugs hidden under mysterious names and dealt out to the sick." All these supplements, mysterious names, well, I think somebody got a little bit smarter and it's like, you know what, if I give it a name that sounds essential, there's vitamin C in an orange, therefore if I just call this vitamin C, then it's no longer a drug, but it's still not an orange. And I think a lot of people have been duped that way. But I believe here at the end of time, we're going to do away with all these vitamins. When you can't buy or sell, yeah, you might have stocked up and stored up in the field for all that, but it's not what we're supposed to do, right? In the simple remedies that God gave us, we can find health and healing. And we must remember the first quote it says, "The remedies, that none know what is actually given them unless they obtain a dictionary to find out the meaning of these names." So now I want to read two last quotes to bring this all into context as to why this is important for us today. Ellen White actually says something just totally startling. She says, "If the members of our churches show that they care not for the light on health reform, but continue to walk in the light and the sparks of their own kindling, they will lie down in sorrow. And the painful part of the history is that the influence of those older church members will leaven the newly come to the faith. The Lord could not now bring many souls into the truth because the church members that have never been converted, and those who were once converted but who have backslidden. What good would these unconsecrated members do to the converts? They would make of none effect the message that God has given his people to bear." Now this last quote brings everything else into context and is beautiful. "Let the pupils be impressed with the thought that the body is a temple of God in which God desires to dwell, that it must be kept pure, an abiding place of the high and noble thoughts. As in the study of physiology they see that they are indeed fearfully and wonderfully made. They will be inspired with reverence. Instead of marring God's handiwork, they will have an ambition to make all that is possible of themselves, in order to fulfill the Creator's glorious plan. Thus they will come to regard obedience to the laws of health, not as a matter of sacrifice or self-denial, but as it really is, an inestimable privilege and blessing."